Assalamu guys, Ifan back again with another video, and in this video we will be looking at simple linear regression. Alright, so in order to handle this topic, what I have is on this sheet here, I have got the interest rates for the mortgage and the average home price that the home sold for when the interest rates were as given in the second column. Okay, so what we'll do is we will call this the interest rate column the explanatory values, and this will be the response values. Okay, so what that means is for the interest rates are going to explain the home prices. Now, for every change in the interest rate, it's going to affect the home price, and the response is going to come from the home prices. Okay, so we have this basic data. Now let's see how the first step we need to do is we need to do a scatter diagram. Okay, now I will first show you how to do it in Excel, and then we will go and do it manually. Okay, so the way that you do that in Excel is you select these values, go to insert, this is where your scatter graph is, and you select your scatter graph. Okay, now let's just move it up here. I'm just going to make it a little bigger. Okay, so this is what your scatter graph is. Let's go ahead and now put it as home prices versus interest rates. Okay, now we've got a basic structure done. Now let's see if we can do a trend line and also look at what the trend line would do. Okay, let's go to this. So in order to do that, now if I were to just double click on the graph, you have what is known as a quick layout. Okay, so what this does is allows you to do it automatically. So I'll select this guy here. Layout number 9 shows the chart title, legends. Okay, now the x-axis is your interest rates, and the y title is your home prices. Let me just go and type that in. Okay, so you have got your x-axis as your interest rates and your y-axis as your home prices. I don't need the legend, so I'm just going to get rid of that, delete. Now you see there's a lot of blank space here. That's because the interest rate is starting from 0. Now the lowest interest rate is about 6%. So even if you were to start from 5%, we would be okay. All right. So if I double click on this axis and go to axis options, and the minimum is 0. Okay. Now mind you, this is in percentages, so it's going to be, if you want to start from 5%, it should be 0.05. Okay, so now it's starting from 5% going all the way up to about 11%, because 10.6 is the highest. All right, so we've got that, the x-axis sorted out. Now let's look at the y-axis. There's a lot of blank space here. Okay, so if we were to say, for example, start from 100,000, that would be fine too. So let's put in 100,000 for the y-axis, and now we've got a better looking graph. And this equation here, that's your this is the equation for the this trend line, and this is your r squared, is your regression coefficient. Now let's change the color for the trend line, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and let's change it to maybe red, and let's just make it a little thicker. Okay, there you go. All right, so we've got this. What this means is this line is your trend line. It shows you what the trend is. Now, because it is sloping downwards, that means as your interest rates go up, the home prices tend to go down, which is actually logical, because as the interest rates are going up, it becomes more expensive to afford a home, because you'll be paying the banks a higher interest rate, and so your monthly payments would be higher. And so if your income is fixed, you will only be able to afford a cheaper home as the interest rates go up. But when the interest rates go down, you'll be able to afford a more expensive home. So that is why this line is a downward sloping line. All right. So now, just like now, let's pause here and let's go to the graph paper, and let's draw this graph on a graph paper. Okay. Now, in order to draw the graph manually, what we will do is we will start with a blank sheet of paper like we have on the screen right now. And on this blank of sheet of paper, what we will draw at the bottom, we'll draw a horizontal line. Okay. Now, this horizontal line is going to form your horizontal axis or your x-axis. Now, at the left edge of this line, what we will do is we'll draw a vertical line going up, and this would form your vertical axis or the y-axis. Now, we've got our two axes plotted. Now, the next step would be to draw a grid with inside these two, two lines. And what we'll do is we'll first draw horizontal lines at equal distance to each other, and like so. And then we'll do a set of vertical lines coming down like this, and this forms the grid. Now, if we've got the grid set up, we'll be using this grid to plot the values. But before we do that, what we'll do is we will divide the x-axis and y-axis into units. Now, what I've done is I've taken 10 small boxes for each unit along the x-axis, and I've put those small blue lines. And I've done the same for the vertical axis. Now we've got the structure in place. Now, the x-axis or the horizontal axis would be used to plot the interest rates. So let's go ahead and put in the name there. And the vertical axis or the y-axis is going to be used to plot the home prices. So let's go ahead and put home prices along the y-axis. Now, since the x-axis is going to have interest rates, so for each mark, let's put in the interest rates. So the first mark would be 1%, then 2%, and 3%, and so on and so forth. So we've got your x-axis labeled. Similarly, what we do is we'll label the y-axis. So again, starting from 0 and then 50,000, and each unit would be, each blue line would be increment of 50,000. In home price. So the first division would be 50,000, then 100,000, then 150, and so on and so forth, all the way up to 300,000. Okay, so now we've got the everything in place to go ahead and start plotting. The first value that we need to plot is 10.6% interest rate, and the corresponding home value is 184,000. So since the interest rates are along the x-axis or the horizontal axis, we need to go ahead and locate where 10.6 is going to be. So let's put that in the red. Now, this would show you whether 10.6% is. From here, what we'll do is we'll draw a vertical line. Now, anywhere along this line, the interest rate is 10.6%. Now, the corresponding home price was 184. So let's go ahead and locate 184. There you have it. Now, from there, just like we did for the interest rate, we'll draw but in this case, we will draw a horizontal line. Okay. So anyway, along this horizontal line is where the home price is 184,000. So the vertical line shows the average, the interest rate is 10.6%. The horizontal line shows home price is 184,000. So where these two lines meet, or where the two lines intersect, that's where the interest rate is 10.6 and the home price is 184,000. So let's go ahead and put a blue dot over there. Okay, so if we've got our first value, first set of values plotted, now let's go to the next. The next value that we need to plot is 10.4% interest with a corresponding home price of $180,000. Okay, so just like we did for 10.6%, we'll go ahead and locate 10.4% interest and we will draw a vertical line. Now, just like in the previous case, this vertical line is where the interest rate is going to be 10.4%. Now, the corresponding home price is 180,000. So we go ahead and locate 180,000 and we draw a horizontal line. Now, just like the first case, where these vertical and horizontal lines intersect or they meet, that's where the interest rate is 10.4 and the home price is 180,000. So we'll go ahead and put a blue dot over there. The next is 10.1% interest and 176. So we'll go ahead and plot that just like we did the earlier values. Now we've got a mechanism in place. So let's go ahead and plot all the values and we'll take away the blue line, the red lines. And this is what the completed graph would look like. This is what the scatter graph would look like if you were to do this manually. Okay. So we just saw how we would plot this in on a graph paper manually, and we saw that this looks exactly the same as what we did manually on a graph paper that we just constructed. Now, the only thing missing was this trend line. Let's see how we figure out what the trend line would be. Now over here we have the equation for the trend line. The value after the plus, the 404,298, that is your what is known as the y-intercept, and before the x, that's your slope. What that means is when x is 0, okay, that means bank is not charging you any interest. You know, the home price would be on the average would be about $404,000. Okay, so let's see if we can come up with these values manually. Okay, so let's go to the manual calculation. Now here's the this y is equal to negative 2 raised to the power 6 plus 404,298. We'll see if we can come up with this equation manually. Okay, so this is the equation y is equal to a plus bx. Now a is, we've got the formula for a and we've got the formula for b. So let's go ahead and construct that. Now this would be your x, this is y. Okay, so now we have what we'll do is we'll create a column for xy and we'll create a column for x squared. Okay, and that's all we need. Okay, so you have got x, y, xy and x squared. Let's see if we got any the values missing. Y, we've got this here. X squared, we've just created this column. X, we've got that here. XY, we just created this column here. XY, got it. X, Y over x squared, and okay, we've got it, all the values. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me just delete a few columns from here, and let's just make those a little thicker. Okay, and center. Now xy would be x into y, and let's bring this down here, all the way down. X squared would be x into x, and let's bring this down. Okay, we really don't need this, but we do need the summation, so we just use the auto sum function here, hit enter, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this formula across. Okay, I just need to make this a little thicker. All right, now let's see if we can use these values, and let me just highlight this. Okay, now let's plug in the values. A, for A, what we're doing is, let's see what A is equal to. Summation of y, summation of y into summation of x squared into x squared, close bracket, minus open bracket, summation of x into summation of xy, close bracket. Now you see I put a double bracket open here because when I divide, I want it to be divided by the whole numerator. Divided by open bracket, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We've got 16 entries, so n is equal to 16. 16 into x squared, summation x squared, minus summation x whole squared, minus summation x into summation x. Enter. Okay, let's reduce the number of decimals, and let's make this a number. So we've got 404,297.86, and that's exactly what we cut through that cell. Okay, so we've got the intercept. Now let's look at the slope. Now that's your b value, and the formula is over here. So is equal to double bracket, n we knew was 16 into summation of x and y, this guy here, close bracket, minus summation of x into summation of y, and we do a close bracket. Let's put another bracket here also, divided by n was 16 into x squared, this is x squared, minus summation of x whole squared. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the format down here. So it's negative 242,155. That's close to what we've got here. Okay, now let's see what the equation would look like. Let me just, so it would be y is equal to a, which is this 404,298 plus, because this is a negative sign, so instead of plus we put a minus, 242,155 x. That's your equation for this line here. Okay, now let's see if that is actually true or not. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and insert a column here, and I'm going to take away a column from here. Let's take away a column, one more. Okay, I just want to have the formula showing up. So what this does is, for every value of y, we can select a corresponding x, or I'm sorry, for every value of x, we'll get a corresponding y. So let's say through formula, Okay, let me just put powders here. Now this is your X. What we'll be doing is we'll be calculating the Y's through this formula. Okay, so this would be is equal to A plus B X. Okay, and let's just drop this down. Oops, sorry. I need to lock this, and I need to lock this. Okay, so that's your what your home prices would look like. Okay, on the average. Now let's see if we can, if this actually holds true. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let me just plot these two first. I don't need this chart title, and this we had decided that we will start from 5%, and this we will start from 100,000. Okay, so that is the graph that we have over here without the trend line. Okay, now this trend line that we had Excel insert for us, because we selected that quick layout, we could either just select this and say add trend line, and we'll do that for us. It will be exactly the same trend line, but let's see if we can have this trend line drawn manually. So what we'll do is we will insert these values also in the graph. We'll have this plotted also. So let me just go back. You have your mouse pointer anywhere on this graph, do a right click, select data. So now we've got the dialog box that has all the details about the data that's used to build this graph. Unfortunately, over here it says series 1. We know that that's home prices. So we click on edit. The name is blank, so let's put in home prices. Okay, so we've got the percentages here and we got the home prices here. Now let's click on OK, and let's prices through formula. Okay, I'm just going to make these a little narrower. We don't need them to be so. There you go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plot these values also on this graph. So cursor anywhere on the graph, right click, select data. Now I'm adding another series, so I click on add. The series name is prices through formula. Series X values would be the same as for these home prices, and series Y values would be these values here. I click on OK. Okay, so that's your lines that have been plotted, dots that have been plotted for the prices through the formula. And what I will do is I'll just do a line. Now you see how this looks exactly the same as this. That's because that's what we used in the back end. That's what Excel is using to draw this trend line, and we've got the same trend line here. And if we were to move this graph down a bit, that's the formula that it's using to create this trend line. And that's basically what your linear regression would be. It tries to explain what the response would be. In this case, when the interest rate changes, it predicts what the response would be for your home prices. Okay. Now, this trend line tends to have equal number of values on above and below it. So let's see if that holds true in this case also. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 values towards the right or above this line, and let's see how many we've got below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've got 8 values below it, right? So that's how you would do linear regression in Excel with one variable. Okay, we've got the interest rate. Just to recap, we had the interest rates going up and down, and as a result of the interest rate, the home prices was responding to those changes in the interest rates, and as the interest rates would go down, the home prices would go up, reflecting people's ability to buy more expensive homes because of cheaper interest rates. And when the interest rates went up, the home prices went down, reflecting people's ability to only afford cheaper homes because the interest rate had gone up, and in order to finance that home, it was costing them more money. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, please kindly give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Thank you.